Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. So today's video is going to be about the current state of the fitness industry. Before I get into that, I just want to say, if you're new here, please subscribe and like, share, and leave your comments down below. So the state of the fitness industry is not very good right now, especially online with the so-called science-based or evidence-based. It's really just a marketing term that they use to sell more and get more views because they know that if they use those words, then people are going to take it more seriously. But you've got people like Mike Israetel who used his PhD to try and give him leverage to sell more things when really he's just not really that. It's not really it's not really that smart, I don't think. I mean, yeah, he's fairly smart, but like he's probably got like above average intelligence, but he makes out like he's some kind of genius. He makes out like he's Einstein or something, or even more intelligent. Like he makes out like he even said it himself that he thinks that he's one of the most, if not the most intelligent fitness coaches or whatever. Like it's just there's this like ego that he's got, and it's not just him. There's a lot of other influencers that are just leaning on these qualifications to sell stuff, and sometimes they're deliberately selling BS because they know that people will trust them if they've got some credentials. But that doesn't mean that you're telling the truth. You could be still lying to people. And so they're just like preying on vulnerable people who will just buy the supplements and buy their programs. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with some programs can be good, but oftentimes their programs aren't necessarily any better than what you could get from anywhere else. And you don't necessarily need to buy programs, because oftentimes the information you can easily just find yourself, and you can just like come up with your own program. Like, why do you need to go and necessarily like outsource it from some influencer that's just going to charge you a whole bunch of money for that? Are you just really that lazy to try and find it out for yourself what's best, to actually do a bit of research? I mean, I don't know. Just there's a lot of people out there that they're just kind of like a bit lazy, and they're just like they'll just trust everything that these influencers say because they don't want to have to actually go and do their own research and actually find out if what they're saying is actually valid, which is quite sad, really. And yeah, so you got people like Mike Israetel, Jeff Nippert, or the Milo Wolf. There's a whole list of them, and some are worse than others. I mean, some of the evidence-based ones can be all right, but when they keep on trying to talk about all their credentials all the time, any opportunity that they get, I'd say that's a big red flag. Like, in my opinion, a lot of these people are charlatans. Like they're putting themselves on a pedestal that they shouldn't be on. This whole PhD thing that Mike has, it turns out that there's a lot of mistakes in it, and then he then went and said, "Oh no, it was a draft," but then he backpedaled and then said, "Actually, no, it was the real one," but it was just they were trying to downplay the errors as being not really that important. Well, it turns out it actually was. So they're just deliberately lying, it seems, just trying to. It's like they're trying to save face kind of thing, but like all they're doing is just digging themselves into a deep hole. Unfortunately, most of these like people who watch are just kind of just your average everyday people who would go and watch them make these videos about critiquing someone's training or whatever, they're not gonna probably go and watch, all these critiques of Mike. So yeah, it's just it's just sad, but yeah, there's a lot of other things going on as well with the industry, like people just overcomplicating the workouts, which just confuses people. If anything, it just puts more people off training, and that's one of the criticisms that Mike had for a long time, really, that he was overcomplicating workouts, having people worrying about specific details that really only professional bodybuilders should probably be worrying about. If you're just wanting to get in good shape, then you don't really need to be worrying about all these fine details. It's just going to confuse you, and it's not gonna it's not gonna be fun, because you're always going to be worried about, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing this? Just it just gets too complicated, and your Mike Israetel, your Jeff Nippard, and all that, your Milo Wills, being very specific. Oh, should I do long length partials, or should I do full range of motion? I mean, and then it's like, then they come out and said, actually, it doesn't seem to really matter, that, like, it's similar results. But they were all kind of like jumping on this thing about stretch, but focusing on just doing the stretch and not doing full range of motion. So it's like, the thing is that the science changes sometimes, depending. The new study might come out that contradicts things, and I think the problem is that sometimes people are too quick to jump to conclusions about things, and then they push that out like it's the truth. And, oh, look, this study now shows that about the stretch or whatever, and to maintain that stretch or whatever, and not go too much into like the concentric or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It just confuses people. It just makes them like, well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even bother, because this is too complicated for me. People need to just be given like an easy blueprint that they can follow, but these people won't do that for these people, because they're too much in their own head of like, oh, everything has to all be very specific, and then when they're called out on that, then they don't like it. So yeah, but yeah, people pushing these snake oil supplements as well, like claiming that something will give you a massive test boost or something like that, or it'll gain loads of muscle. You got people like Greg Doucette promoting his testosterone supplement. I mean, does that really work? Has anyone actually tried that stuff? Let me know. Has anyone actually tried it? You'd think if it really works, then it would be like, people would be like, shouting it from the rooftops or something. I mean, you would think it would be like the new creatine, basically. It would be like, oh, everyone's got to buy this supplement. It's like, it's a game changer. But is it really? Because that's the way that, Greg Doucette's hyping it up, but he's got vested interest because he's selling the damn thing. So it's just pathetic. I don't know. Does he even need to sell that stuff? He's already got a lot of money, hasn't he? But it just gets to a point of greed, I think, with a lot of these people. And they might have actually started off genuine, but then they get carried away. It's like, he's already sold tons and tons of cookbooks, hasn't he? He makes tons of revenue off his videos. He's like, so why does he even need to be doing all that? He's already selling a lot of other supplements that are, some of them are actually evidence based, but this testosterone thing, is it really worth it? But yeah. But another thing I want to mention is the whole thing of fitness as well. Like, it's all obsession with muscle building at any cost. Like, for example, people slamming down, like pre-workouts, and sometimes people will do these like in the evening, which is terrible. That can actually mess up your sleep and actually make things worse. But there's this whole obsession of like, oh, I've got to try and get a good pump and whatever, and then they'll take all these supplements in the name of fitness, or to try and build muscle, but then they neglect cardio as a part of fitness. And if you have no cardio, then can you really call yourself fit? If you couldn't run a mile continuously and not be out of breath, can you really call yourself fit? I would argue no. So to me, fitness isn't just about being able to lift heavy weights for a certain number of reps. To me, that isn't fitness at all. In fact, a lot of this fitness stuff, it's like they're lifting weights, and this is something that Bioneer was saying. People are lifting these weights that have convenient handles on them. They're not natural weights. It's not like where you're like carrying logs of wood or something and you have to like grip it a certain way, and it's like these lifters they're actually not used to lifting things in a functional way. They lift these things that have convenient handles on them that you can just grip with your hands like that, and oftentimes they're also using straps as well because they're so focused on building muscle. So they end up so they might even end up with like bad grip strength in a lot of cases. They probably wouldn't have good grip endurance anyway, a lot of them. So that means that they're not very fit, at least not in like a functional way. They're just very specific in one thing. And oftentimes they're scared of doing cardio because they think it's going to kill their gains, which is actually not true unless you do tons of it. And yeah, it's just the people have bought into a lot of lies. And people think that fitness is about looking a certain way. It's absolutely not. Yeah, that can be a byproduct of fitness, but it shouldn't. That's not what fitness is about. Fitness is about being functional and being able to carry out daily tasks with ease. That's what it should be about. Like, for example, take people who, chopping trees down all day. I reckon a lot of these bodybuilders will actually struggle with that. If they had to do that, it would just be exhausting to them. They'd probably gas out. So, to me, it's not fitness at all. And anybody that has fitness in their channel name and they completely neglect cardio, it's like they don't know what they're talking about. Because you should at least incorporate some level of cardio, even if it just means that you do some kind of circuit training or something like that. Like there should be some element of cardiovascular health in there, because otherwise you're talking crap and you're not about actual fitness whatsoever. So yeah, just maybe you should just call yourself a bodybuilding channel, not a fitness channel, because fitness hasn't really got that much to do with how you look. Like, someone could be fit, but they might not necessarily be in the best of shape. Now, of course, if you're in a terrible shape, then I wouldn't call you fit as well, but you don't necessarily have to be like super ripped all year round to call yourself fit. But yeah, having excess body fat is not good, but there's a balance, and people have just been so conditioned to think that fitness is something that it's not. And yeah, there's also this thing with the fitness industry where they'll try and have you believe that somehow that more muscle means, like getting a better woman or something like that. Up to a point, it can help, but beyond a certain point, it can actually be detrimental. So that's the thing as well, that they try and they lie to their audiences. They're making people just kind of feel insecure. And yeah. So let me know what you all think. This whole fitness industry is a complete shambles. Another thing I want to mention is the fact, when people say that they're fake, when they say that they're natural when they're not, and they're lying, that's another kind of charlatan. I think that's an important point to mention. And a lot of people use that for promoting their, whether it's supplements, whether it's programs, also things like coaching, like personal training. They use that as a way to sell more, as a way to be able to outcompete, and then just destroying their health doing that. Everyone's just so obsessed with the there's all the positive that could come from it, but they don't think about all the negatives that can come from taking these supplements and the like roids as well, like the tech, also things like SARMs, which can really, who knows what it's going to do in the long run. A lot of these are like experimental drugs, and yeah. Anyway, I'll see you all later. All right, peace out, everybody. Bye.